The legend of the Tiyanak. In the dense, misty forests of the Philippines, far from the safety of the village, there lived a creature whose name was whispered with fear, Tiyanak. The locals spoke of it in hushed tones, warning travelers and children alike to stay close to home at night. The Tiyanak was a creature of vengeance, a spirit born from the cruel abandonment of a child. It was said that the creature once roamed the earth as a helpless infant, rejected by its parents and left to die in the wilderness. But the forest, with its deep, ancient magic, did not let it perish. Instead, the spirit of the forsaken child grew angry and vengeful, transforming into something far more sinister. The Tiyanak had the ability to change its appearance, taking on the form of a helpless, crying baby. It would wait in the forest, hidden under the trees or in the shadows, crying out for help. Anyone who heard its pitiful wail would be drawn toward it, their hearts aching for the abandoned child. But those who ventured too close would be met with a horrifying sight. The Tiyanak would spring to life, revealing its glowing red eyes, sharp claws, and a mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. The creature's rage was as terrifying as its appearance, and it would attack anyone unfortunate enough to fall for its deception. For years, the people of a small village on the edge of the forest told stories of the Tiyanak. The elders often gathered the children by the fire, sharing the legend to teach them the dangers of wandering into the woods alone. They spoke of the Tiyanak's curse and how it sought revenge on anyone who showed kindness to its false form. One particular evening, when the air was thick with the scent of rain, a young traveler named Berto found himself caught in the forest's grip. Berto was on his way back to his village after a long journey. The rain had begun to fall heavily, and the trees seemed to come alive in the mist. He was no stranger to the tales of the Tiyanak, but like many young men, he was confident in his own bravery. He laughed off the warnings of the elders and continued his journey through the darkened forest. Suddenly, as the rain poured down in sheets, Berto heard a faint sound. It was a soft, pitiful cry, a baby's cry. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but the sound grew louder, unmistakable. A child, abandoned and in need of help, was somewhere in the forest. His heart filled with compassion, and without thinking, he hurried toward the sound. The trees seemed to part for him as he followed the cries, pushing through thick foliage and wet branches. As Berto reached a clearing, he saw the source of the sound. There, lying in the middle of the path, was a small figure wrapped in a tattered cloth. The baby's cries echoed in the stillness of the rain-soaked forest. Berto's heart wrenched as he approached the child, his thoughts only on helping. The baby's cries stopped as Berto knelt beside it, lifting the child gently into his arms. But as he did, the baby's face twisted, revealing a horrifying sight. The creature's eyes glowed bright red, its face contorted into a grotesque snarl. The Tiyanak bared its razor-sharp teeth, letting out a blood-curdling scream as it lunged at Berto. His heart raced as he scrambled backward, realizing too late that he had fallen for the creature's trap. But Berto was not without wit. He remembered the stories he had heard from the elders about the Tiyanak's weakness. It was said that the spirit could not stand the power of prayer or the protection of the spirits that guarded the forest. With no time to waste, Berto quickly called upon the forest spirits, praying loudly for their protection. The rain seemed to pause as his voice echoed through the trees, and for a brief moment, the Tiyanak hesitated, its red eyes flickering in confusion. In that moment of hesitation, Berto did not waste time. He turned and ran, his heart pounding in his chest, his legs pumping as fast as they could carry him. Behind him, the Tiyanak let out a furious screech, but it did not follow. The spirits of the forest had intervened, and the creature retreated into the shadows from which it came. When Berto finally reached the edge of the forest and saw the safety of the village lights in the distance, he took a deep breath, his body trembling from the terror he had narrowly escaped. The elders were right, the Tiyanak was real, and its hunger for vengeance was not something to be taken lightly. From that day on, Berto never ventured into the forest without offering a prayer to the spirits first, ensuring their protection. And though he never spoke of the Tiyanak again, he knew that the legends were not just stories to scare children. They were warnings, passed down through generations, reminding everyone that the forest had its own secrets, some better left undisturbed.